Greetings, eaters, and welcome to my kitchen in sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. I am the Obesity Sherpa. Today, we're going to make a side dish. And if you're from Utah or Idaho, and I know I have people following me who are, you know what this is. You've had it before. But if you're not, and you're not a member of the LDS Church, this may be a new thing for you. Today, we are going to make funeral potatoes. That's right, funeral potatoes. Kind of a macabre name, I guess. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Is it macabre? Is it macabre? Whatever. I'm not going to worry about it too much. You know how to spell it, so there's that. But in any case, I'll give you a little bit of the origin story of funeral potatoes. In the LDS faith, when someone passes away and there's a funeral in one of our churches, the Relief Society, which is one of the oldest women's organizations in America, there's a group within every single ward of them. They come together and they make a meal, a luncheon for the family and close friends after the funeral. And one of the staples of these luncheons is called funeral potatoes. Now, maybe you've heard of them called scallop potatoes or potatoes au gratin or whatever, but there's a lot of different variations of them. And I love them. I've been to funerals where there have been like 5 different kinds of funeral potatoes. It's pretty cool. Like, I love most all of them. I mean, I guess I've had some that were a little too avant-garde, a little too weird, but for the most part, they're pretty good. I make a variation of it. My wife has her own variation of it. I like my wife's just fine. She won't admit to liking mine because she's competitive, and you know, she admits that she likes mine, and that means that somehow diminishes hers. I don't know, but hers is very different than mine. She uses shredded potatoes and ranch and all that stuff, and I don't use that. I call them barbecue rub potatoes. I use the rub that you would use on a piece of brisket or some ribs or whatever, and I mix that in with the seasoning. That makes it taste really good. Funeral potatoes can be eaten not just at funerals. It's just like you can eat turkey when it's not Thanksgiving. Funeral potatoes can be consumed anytime, anywhere. They taste great with barbecue. They taste great with Easter ham. My wife usually makes hers for Easter. I like to make mine and serve it with pork chops or really anything barbecue. Today I'm making some pork chops, but we're going to focus on the potatoes. Now, before we get started with all that, let's have a look at our restaurant recommendations. Since we're doing a shout out to the food of Utah, we'll continue that shout out. Today's restaurant is the Mandarin, and the original location is in Bountiful. It's in this weird, out-of-the-way space. I first ate there with some friends nearly 20 years ago, and then I hadn't been back. It was really good, but I couldn't honestly remember where the place was. And then my aunt mentioned it, and then some other friends mentioned it. I'm like, okay, I gotta go back there. So we returned to the Mandarin last year with our good friends and ate ourselves silly. It is some of the best Chinese food you will find anywhere, and it is in Utah. And I'll tell you the thing about Utah is the LDS people, we don't drink, we eat, and all that food is made with love. And maybe I've made mention of that before, but I remember when I was a kid, once I got to the point where I didn't really like fast food anymore, I was always fascinated by the fact that if I went to Utah and ate fast food, which I did not like back home in Seattle, it tasted great. Like, you could go to like Dairy Queen and it was better than Red Robin, which is a Seattle restaurant. It was started in Seattle. I think they're based in Colorado now, but they did start there on Furman and East Lake in Seattle on the way over to the U District. So, and before we go any further, we also need to take a moment for shoes. Okay, it's still technically summer, although it's starting to feel like fall. I love fall here, but I'm wearing Sanooks, which I'll be wearing a lot of for the next month or so as the temperatures start to come down. Sandals that look like shoes, or more specifically old man slippers. Got most of mine at Ross for very, very cheap compared to what you'd pay for them at REI, but highly recommend the Sanooks. All right, so let's get down to the cooking. So we have potatoes, which, I mean, it's right in the name, so you got to have the potatoes. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a sauce that they will cook in out of sour cream, cream of chicken soup. Will be definitely the barbecue rub, as mentioned. Got to have some sriracha sauce, just because you gotta. A little bit of Worcestershire sauce and garlic, because I love garlic and there's no restraint with the garlic, and of course cheese. So what we're going to do first is we're going to start by slicing up some potatoes. Now, if you don't know what this is, I highly recommend you do some research. This is a mandolin. Mandolins are great. You can slice potatoes very quickly. It sounds like our oven is ready to go here. And what I do, and you have to be careful because I've taken off like a good chunk of my finger a couple of times with these. I start them without the guard and then end them with the guard, but you basically run it like that. And what you get is potatoes that are just like that. If you want to make your own potato chips. If you don't have one of these things, they're pretty affordable. I've got a couple of them. You can get them at Business Costco usually. They'll have them at most any cooking store, and again, not too terribly expensive. We're going to slice up a whole bunch of potatoes before we do anything else. So let's start with that. We're going to put them in cold water to kind of rinse them off, and we'll go from there. So on with the slicing. And once I've gotten it down a little bit, then I pull out my guard so as to not destroy my finger. Okay, potatoes are ready and are cut and they're soaking. So now we're going to make the sauce. I don't know if sauce is the right characterization, but we're going to use Campbell's condensed cream chicken soup. So condensed obviously means you need to add some liquid to it. We're not going to add as much as it calls for. We're going to go ahead and we'll use 2 cans of it for this. And it's going to go in this bowl. It's kind of a deeper casserole dish, but this does bubble up a bit. And then I'm just going to use 1 can of milk. I'm using whole milk. Use whatever you like. You can use half and half or cream if you want. I don't know if I'd want to do that, but you can certainly do it if you like that. We're going to give it a squirt of sriracha, the magic sauce. And a few jabs of Worcestershire sauce. Look at that, I banged it out the first time. All right. Then need a little sour cream. So we're probably going to put we'll probably put about a cup of sour cream, maybe a little less. We're just going to kind of ballpark it here. So go, that's about a cup right there. And then our rub. We'll put a generous amount of that in there because this is going to season the whole thing. Make it taste like barbecue. Let's get some garlic going on. Y'all know how I like the garlic. So I'm taking a handful. That should probably be enough. I'm just going to go ahead and hit it on high. Go ahead and drop that in there. Right. I'll whisk that in. And then we're going to add cheese. So you're going to want to put a bit. I'll probably put that's probably about 3 cups worth there. If you want less cheese, by all means. But you want this to be nice and cheesy. And today I'm just using this blend of Mexican style. Use whatever you like, but it's got to have, cheddar is important. So now we got all that done. We're going to go ahead and put about half of it into our casserole dish here. You know what, I'm just going to put all of it. Let's make it easier. Okay. So, I have our potatoes here that we've drained. I'm just going to start putting them in. So far I'd say we're probably about 20 minutes into prep time for this. And from here on out, so we got everything coated well here. We're going to go ahead and top it, cover it with foil, and pop it in the oven. Okay, and then give it a good dusting of rub. If you're rubbing a pork butt or a brisket or something, you want to get a good coat on there. Same deal with this. All right, there you go. That's what it looks like. I'm gonna go ahead and foil it off. And I've learned my lesson with cooking this stuff in the oven. If you have something that might bubble up, not a bad idea to put it on a tray. It'll make cleanup easier. So we're going into the oven. And that's going to cook for between 1.5 hours and 2 hours. It does take some time. We've got the temperature set at 425. I'm going to go take a motorcycle ride while this thing cooks, and then I'll come back and I'll still have time to make my pork chops and other sides. Okay, we're back. Took a nice ride down the Las Vegas Strip and then back around on the freeway, and it's still there. And people are still acting like idiots because that's what they do. But in any case, the potatoes have been cooking for about 2 hours. I decided I'd go long on this. So let's pull them out and have a look at them. See how my asbestos fingers do. Oh yeah, look at this. I wish you could smell it because the smell is fantastic. But there you go. Look at those things. So I'll drop a picture in with the finished meal. I made pork chops and cowboy corn to go with it. Let's just have a look at it here. Yes, that is cheesy goodness. So, there you have it. Those are barbecue rub funeral potatoes. There you go, that's the official name. Thanks for joining us this week. Please remember to like and follow and share on all of our social media channels. That's going to be Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and LinkedIn and Pinterest, and our main channel is YouTube. We're also on Rumble and TikTok. Apologies to Jimmy Kimmel again. I bet this would probably taste great with squirrel pie if squirrel pie tasted good, which I don't think it does. Remember, squirrels are rodents. But in any case, again, please post pictures if you do cook this and share them with us. Thanks for joining us again, and keep on eating.